Welcome to our weekly cybersecurity briefing here at Vandernet, where we always challenge you to rethink what secured looks like. Today, we're going to discuss, let me get my agenda moving. We're going to go over an introduction of today and current cybersecurity landscape, what that looks like, recent cyber attacks or breaches, cybersecurity best practices, FTC safeguards, and we'll close with the statement. All right, thank you for being here. It says a lot about you. Whether you're a owner of an organization, whether you're middle management, or you just say, hey, I just work here, all is welcomed because we're here to educate at Vandernet, to increase cybersecurity awareness and make everybody better at what they do for their employers or their business, to protect the people, the data, and the technology. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us at hello@rethinksecure.com. This briefing is 15 to 20 minutes. It is to get you the information you need to know about what is going on in the cybersecurity landscape and to get you back to work. So, who am I? I'm Garrett. I am the CEO here at Vandernet. Vandernet started in 2010. In 2020, COVID hit. That completely changed everything in our business. By 2021, we became a fully focused cybersecurity solutions company, and we call ourselves cybersecurity consultants because it's really more than just a single product or a solution. It's a holistic view of what cybersecurity looks like, both protecting the social media landscape of a business or entity, all the way to the bank accounts where money is received or paid out of. We are here to protect it all. And with our 5 stages of cybersecurity organizational maturity model, it's a bunch of fancy words to say we have a customer journey that's 5 steps, and we walk our clients through the 5 stages to better secure their business so they can do what they do best. And so really, Vandernet is about, we enable your business to grow securely, help reclaim your time, and outsmart your competition. We're focused on the financial services industry, both accounting and wealth management. That is what we know, and that is what we work hard to protect every single day. So, current cybersecurity landscape, the latest trends, threats, developments in cybersecurity with a focus on how it impacts you. So, here we are. This is painful. This is brand new. It's actually updated as of today, but we first learned about it like yesterday or the day before yesterday. But we're going to go to the article, we're going to review it, we're going to look at it, and we're going to go from there. So let me pull this up so we can check it out. So, KnowBe4. A lot of you know what KnowBe4 is. Some of you might not know what KnowBe4 is. It simply is an education website focused on cybersecurity education. Its sole purpose is to educate you on what phishing scheme looks like. So like malicious emails coming into your inbox. A lot of banking institutions, a lot of schools use it. And it's widely known in the industry for cybersecurity education and continuing education to educate people. What happened, and we're going to read this, is they were hiring for their AI intelligence department. So they sent out job postings, they had interviews. This is legitimately a picture that was modified by AI. But essentially what happened was the job posting got posted. Is a remote work position. The individual put in his name and identified his name and went through the interview process, like not just 1, but 2 or 3 separate interviews, and he was hired. And so KnowBe4 he gave an address, and KnowBe4 shipped the computer to that address. And what they quickly noticed within 24 hours of that employee coming online was that the computer was there's viruses and malware being deployed within the computer. So this is where we're going to cut to the article, because I think it's extremely important that you don't just hear from my words, but from the article from the company themselves, KnowBe4, as to actually what happened. It said our HR team conducted a video conference based interviews on separate occasions, confirming the individual matched in the photo provided on their application that you can see in the article here. Additionally, a background check and all other standard pre-hiring checks were performed and came back clear due to the stolen identity being used. Hackers have stolen identities. They steal people's personal identifiable information, names, social security number, potential addresses. They know a lot. They might know more about you than you know about yourself, based on the information that they take when they compromise an entity and breach and take that data outside of the entity. So this was a real person using a valid but stolen US base identity. The picture was AI enhanced. So, we all age, we all look a little different than maybe what our driver's license looks like. So it can be modified to look similarly to us. And it says that the EDR software detected it and alerted our InfoSec team. So I was telling you that, it says that we sent them their Mac workstation, and the moment it was received, it immediately started to load malware. This is terrifying. And this is the problem. Like, cybersecurity attacks are just going way up, and they're coming up with new tactics and new ways of compromising businesses. And KnowBe4 is a huge known business. It was actually co-founded by a gentleman named Mitnick, and he was a well-known phishing cyber criminal back in the day when the internet was very new, Kevin Mitnick. He has since passed away, but neither here nor less. Somebody that was really good at phishing and manipulating people. Here, this education company is now being phished, essentially, in a high-level way. And it says it says the EDR team detected it. They alerted the Information Security Operations Center. The SOC called the new hire and asked if they could help. That's when it got dodgy fast. We share the collection of the data with our friends at Mandiant, which is a cybersecurity incident response company, a leading global cybersecurity expert, and the FBI to collaborate on initial findings. And the picture you see is an AI fake that started with stock photography below. The detail of the following summary is limited because of the active investigation. So there's a lot going on here. What is interesting is that they said that it got shipped to some type of farm. This is how it works: is fake workers asked to get their workstation sent to an address that is basically an IT mule laptop farm, which means like people receive it, they hook it up, so then somebody else remotely can get into it and start doing what they need to do, like an address. So can you imagine like hackers renting a house, and then they stage somebody inside the house, and then all these remote workers that are applying for these jobs, these laptops are getting shipped to this house and being set up on like this massive network inside a living room. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, your business is compromised and breached because you thought it was a somebody that you thought was reputable, and the next thing you know, they're not. This is a big deal. This is huge, and that's why we're spending some time on this. And so, obviously, some tips they say, scan your remote work devices, make sure no one remotes into those. Like can you lock that out to make sure that that doesn't happen? They're learning a lot of lessons through this process right now. So it's huge because this is a well-respected company and a lot of banking and institutions. If they hadn't have been on this and caught this quickly, it could have had big ramifications for the banking industry. Because KnowBe4, what they do is they have you put in your DNS records on your website, so they can send your employees phishing attempts and allow it through the filtering process. Well, if that got compromised, if KnowBe4 got compromised, and all of a sudden hackers had the ability to email all the banking employees or financial services employees, accounting firm employees, or wealth management firm employees directly, and it bypasses every single filter that you have in place, these are huge problems, big problems. So you have to have the proper cybersecurity in place to make sure that that does not happen to your entity or organization. Let's continue, shall we? So next, recent cyber attacks and breaches. Okay, so this isn't a cyber attack or a breach, but it's catastrophic. I can't tell you how many people since Friday, since CrowdStrike, and you say maybe you don't know who CrowdStrike is, but maybe you heard about them in the news. They're a cybersecurity company. They publish software. They make software to help better protect your entity. Well, Friday morning at 1 a.m., IT guys were getting woken up across the entire world. 8.5 million Windows devices had the blue screen of death on it. And if you don't know what the blue screen of death is, I'm sure we've all experienced the blue screen of death unless you're a Mac user, which, Mac has its own problems as well. But the blue screen of death issue, they woke up to 8.5 million Windows workstations. Massive, massive. As a matter of fact, the CrowdStrike CEO is being called before Congress to testify about how his software company has the ability, and a dangerous ability, to render companies useless all at once just because of one error mistake. It affected huge companies. Delta Airlines still struggling from it today, trying to recover. I saw something about around 4,000 flights were canceled in a single day. Like, massive. It's affecting multiple airlines. Multiple banking institutions were unable to process transfers, wire funds, all that kind of stuff. And you say, why? How can this happen? And you say, well, what I would tell you is no single piece of software should be able to update or change without your knowledge. And so us as a cybersecurity company, we focus on making sure that we have the ability to push any agent updates. We update those, we push them, make sure they're stable, push them. The other thing too is you should have other pieces of software that are looking out for the other pieces of software. So say for instance, like CrowdStrike, push out an update. Do you have another piece of software that's watching to make sure that those changes aren't allowed to happen unless you tell the other piece of software? It's like accountability 101. The other piece of software says, no, you can't make those changes, CrowdStrike, because IT has not allowed those changes to be made. That's why the cybersecurity landscape is changing rapidly, and you have to have cybersecurity professionals to help you through this. And so we don't have time to get into the CrowdStrike article today, but essentially they're saying that it was a bug that went out, released, and that they're improving bug check processing, error handling to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But you need to be asking yourself, what other pieces of software maybe are in your business that could render the same outcome for your company? Be thinking about that. You need to be having discussions with your IT department or your IT professionals to make sure that that does not happen to you. It could have. We've had lots of calls, lots of friends reach out and say, hey, is that happening to you? I was on a call yesterday with actually another MSP, another provider, and it happened to them yesterday, or it happened to them Friday. They woke up and they said I think they said that they had over 800 machines, all their customers on this platform, in blue screen of death. So I would argue to say that not all IT providers or cybersecurity providers are equal, and it's important that there is a significant level of competence to what is being done and performed on behalf of your company. They didn't think it could happen to them too. Okay, we have to hurry. We got 5 minutes. We have to be done in 5 minutes. So I just got this email from a vendor. that is responsible for some of our Federal Communication Commission compliance requirements. So they do all of our regulatory filings with the Federal Communication Commissions. And I got this email from them like yesterday. And it says, Wells Fargo, which is the method I was using, had bank regulators shut down transfers from point A to point B to point C, non-direct transfers. So like essentially, they would draw money out of our bank account and then they would hold on to the money, right? And then they would then pay our Federal Communication Commission bills for us. So they would receive money out of our bank account, hold it, and then pay it. So point A, point B, point C. And so it says that non-direct transfers. We must have direct transfers from your bank to your treasury funding account at, and then he lists his bank, for tax funding transactions or the account listed below in 1 and number 2. So he gave me 2 separate accounts that I can personally elect to push money to accounts, but he's not allowed to draw money out, receive it, and then pay it on my behalf. And the reason why I'm bringing this up to you is banking regulations and compliance is really coming down. First off, Wells Fargo has been under the eye of regulators for quite some time now. I'm not going to list the reason why, but what I think is important is we communicated with our local FBI office, and they said, hey, listen, cyber criminals are really good at transferring in and transferring out. A, B, and C, right? So it's related to 2 things. A, fraud, like the big thing is fraud. And secondly, cyber criminals commit fraud. So they're trying to prevent fraud or the appearance of fraud so they can catch cyber criminals faster. Just happened. So we're going to see more of these banking regulation changes happening significantly. Okay. Insurers see limited hit from CrowdStrike disruption. So I do think this is important because a lot of times, like through this, I heard that there's going to be estimated over $1 billion in damages from this CrowdStrike incident, which is mind blowing to think that within like a 24, 48 hour period that you could have up to $1 billion in just damages from a single update rollout that affected the 8.5 million Windows workstations. So you're like, great, I have insurance, that'll cover it, right? I'll just claim loss of business income against my business insurance. And what they're saying is, let's pull it up, this article, because I think it's important to pull up real quick, is they say the global insurance, it says, is likely to avoid major financial impact from outage sparked by CrowdStrike's glitchy security update software that disrupted internet services worldwide last week. Preliminary estimates suggest that the insured losses could be in the range to mid to high single-digit billion dollars, and most claims would be within the purview of primary insurers, the rating agency wrote. It says, the findings could allay investor concerns over claims and litigation stemming from disruption. Insurers most exposed to such losses tend to transfer some of their liability to reinsurers. And it says that although standard cyber insurance covers cloud downtime due to security failure, which just means like if your security product failed and then you got hit by a hacker, operational failure or system failure of the insured's own operations is typically not covered for downtime due to non-malicious cyber events. So where you think you might have been covered, you more than likely will not be covered. And so that's really unfortunate because you pay for cybersecurity insurance, you're like, that should cover it. It's a disruption. But it wasn't caused by a cyber criminal. It was caused by your software company. So let's move on. So obviously we talked about last week, negligence has been filed against CDK. We're still evolving and watching that. And cybersecurity best practices. So we talk about the big idea here. So, KnowBe4 is a great example. They ask you to whitelist their servers and entities so they can email phishing campaigns on behalf of your business, and they ask you to, put those in your web records. Well, what happens here is the big idea today is don't just take what your vendor is telling you to do. Make sure you understand the ramifications of what those ramifications of those decisions are. So if they ask you to do this, what is the possible fallout from a cybersecurity event? Don't just take what your vendor tells you to do and do it. Really think about it and process what they're asking you to do, and make sure that you're protecting your entity against that. Don't just do it, push back. Offer some resistance to it to get clarity. Maybe limit the scope of the impact if you identify that there is an issue with what is going on. All too well, IT departments listen to software vendors and just do exactly what the software vendors tell them to do. I'm working on a pretty big risk situation right now that is with the banking industry that I'm currently working on that could create, and this could be a huge gap in security that is just being asked of their IT departments to do, and the IT departments are just doing it. And so as this develops, we'll find out more about the ramifications of such decisions. But what I need you guys to take away today, don't just do what your vendor tells you to do. And like we talked last week, 88%, this is insane. And you can go back and watch the former one. 88% of IT professionals today do not have the qualifications to implement cybersecurity. And that was based on an IC3 study that was performed. So don't just do what you're asked to do, question it, and really evaluate the risk associated to what you're being asked to do. We're concluding our time here today. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions, please scan the QR code. We would be happy to have a 15-minute free cybersecurity strategy session with you. You can just book that. You can go to the bit.ly/rethink secured to sign up for our future webinars, or you can reach out to us. There's our phone numbers on the screen, or you can email dkane@vandernet.io. We're here to educate. We find that if you're educated about how your specific industry can be hacked, that makes you stronger. We're here to educate and to help businesses rise together in cybersecurity awareness, so that way those businesses will not be compromised or have a cyber incident. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next week. It's next Thursday, every Thursday, 1:30 Central Standard Time, and we will look forward to it then. Bye.